I contact her. No, I'll contact her. No, I contact. I'll contact the president. The president of the United States. All right. So we are live. We are live. We are live, folks. Just waiting. Boom. Test the audios. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. I'll contact the president. The president of the United States. All right, here we go. All right, guys. So we're here for another video, another live unscripted opinion sponsored by nobody. Today we got the weeknight. And I'm trying to find another video because I watched a lot of stuff already today. And I was eating earlier and doing other stuff. That's why I didn't go live to react. Because I had a lot to say, man. There was so much stuff that I was watching. And I was like, man, I had so many opinions on this, but I wasn't live. I was kind of just like talking to the people that was around. I was like, hey, man, you see this? And we had this big old discussion and stuff. But anyway, this might be, we're not going to be here long. Probably 45 minutes tops. But right now, here's a video from the weeknight that I'm going to react to. Let me see if I can clip this. Yeah. I'm going to clip it right there. Oops. Far down. I don't want to have it too far up. There we go. Boom. All right. So this is the weeknight. Let's get the weeknight going. See what they're talking about today. They're probably gonna discuss the elections that happened last night, the primaries in, I think it was like a handful of states. I know there was a win in the Michigan. That's a big topic between Haley Stevens and Abdul Syed, I think his name is, or something like Syed. Sorry, I butchered it, but he was the preferred candidate according to many people. Stevens had like 60 million plus in AIPAC money, and she almost pulled it out. Some people projected that race was going to be a blowout, but Stevens hung on. I guess she did pretty well in like Wayne County, black voters, which I don't understand. I guess I do understand because I guess it comes down to like generation, but why are black voters supporting AIPAC candidates anyway? I guess it has something to do with the fact that the Congressional Black Caucus favors AIPAC, so that's gonna sway a lot of black voters to support a AIPAC candidate. That's something that no one's really talking about in the media. Like when they talk about, they mention black voters briefly, like, oh, she did well with black voters, or she got black voters to vote for her, and Ali Syed did not. But when they try to dissect, because they always wonder, like, why are black people voting? Would be supporting Stevens, and I know there's questions going on over there in the Dearborn area and parts of Michigan about discrimination or racism between the Muslim community and Black Americans, and that is something that gets under analyzed, because let's just be honest, like, black voters, no one cares about black voters anymore. It's like that time is over. Like 2020, the biggest loser in the end of identity politics have been black voters. Black issues have been put on the back burner. And you seeing that reflecting in elections. I mean, many parts of the country, black American voters have sat out elections. They say, hey, we're not going to support the party no more. And so, and some of them, not a big chunk, a small percentage, even entertaining, voted for Republicans, which at this day and age is completely insane. But when you're desperate, when you are a wounded animal, poor choice of words, but when you're wounded, I'll just say that, you will do whatever you're desperate to do. And, you know, there's a lot of nuance to that. But anyway, so let's get to this video here. Let's watch the weeknight.
Anders Townsend with Michael Steele and Eugene Daniels in for Luke. Breaking tonight, Donald Trump is very desperate to change the narrative, lying about the economy and Democrats in a manic speech. This as the dust settles on some of the last primary races of this election cycle.
Also breaking, Todd Blanche meets with the 2 Republican senators who have yet to confirm their support for his attorney general nomination. Neither endorsed Blanche after the meeting. Senator Jeff Merkley is here to react.
And later, our exclusive conversation with Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger. She'll react to last night's primary results in the Commonwealth, as well as discussing how she plans to fight the president casting doubt on the results of the midterms in November. But folks, let's begin with some breaking news. With just 90 days until the midterms, Donald Trump is making a desperate pitch to voters, and I mean desperate. Just a short time ago in Las Vegas, the president offered zero substance. Instead, he lied about the economy and he hurled a lot of insults at Democrats. Take a listen.
Here we go.
I saw polls today on television. I say, Donald Trump polls on the economy aren't good. The economy is the greatest economy we've ever had by far.
What? The greatest economy? For who? The top 1%? Yeah. Maybe even the top 10%. What is he talking about? The greatest economy we ever had. See, this is the thing. Like, you have to realize that when these people, billionaires, politicians, when they talk on stage, they're not talking to the average person, even though it might seem like it. They're really talking about their friends because they all live in a bubble. So, do I think he actually believes that? Yeah, he believes it for himself and his friends because they all tell him how great he is. Oh, man, I done made so much money. Oh, man. But the average person? Hell no. Heck no. It's not great. Not even close.
We're rocking, we're rolling. The radical left, the maniacs, they're trying to destroy it with the disaster known as not socialism, communism.
You see how he does his hands, the hand motion? And what's the deal with this no tax on tips thing? He's still running that? Wasn't that already exposed to be a lie? He went back to the place where it all started and told them, this is where he went during the campaign and told the people, we're going to give you no tax on tips, no overtime, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and all that's been a bold-faced lie. So he goes back to them, and what is he going to tell them? Well, you know, I was trying to do it, or I will do it if we stop the Democrats, right? So it's like, I don't know. This guy just lies every 5 seconds.
Communists want to take their ruinous and deadly ideology of misery and squalor to every state in America, but we're not going to let them.
You're literally empowered, dummy. How about telling us what you have done? Usually in the midterms, when you have ultimate power across the board, you usually tell people what you plan to continue to do and what has been done that's been good. He has nothing. So only thing he has is fear mongering. He just fear mongers. That's a person who has no message.
People who actually write that stuff for him. Or not. Donald Trump's pathetic attacks and lies come as the dust settles on last night's primaries. In Michigan, progressive Abdul El Said eked out a narrow victory over Congresswoman Haley Stevens in the state's Democratic primary.
While this was a major prize for the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, El Sayed's win wasn't exactly the political earthquake progressives hoped for. Last night proved once again that this is not a one-size-fits-all primary season. A lot of things are happening, everyone. Moderate Democrat Congressman Wesley Bell defeated progressive Cori Bush in a battle over a Missouri House seat Bush once held.
Yeah, Cori Bush, what's up with her? Like, is it time for her to just say, you know what? She can't get that seat back. Right? AIPAC the first time got her. This time around, you know, same. Like, they got her out of this. It's hard. Once you win a seat and you lose it, it's hard to get back in, especially when you're going up against people who, like, there's a lot of criticism surrounding her. She also has a couple of inquiries going on. You know, I think the people over there were like, look, yeah, Wesley Bell's a prosecutor. We just gonna roll with him. Because the average person living in neighborhoods, like in like St. Louis or places like these different districts, they don't really care about foreign money. They don't understand that and what that means. They just like, you know what are we gonna do? Who's gonna fight Trump? Who's gonna stand up to Trump? Who's gonna try to fight for us to get affordable groceries, affordable prices? Even though they don't understand that they both are connected. The AIPAC, the money, the Israel lobby, and the economy is connected in a way, but the average person is not making that connection because they don't have to. They're worried about getting to work, gas, their children. They can care less about that. And what I say is, if AIPAC can run around havoc and freaking buy elections, then what's stopping a couple millionaires and billionaires to create secret PACs called the People PAC or whatever? Come up with a name and you just start funding candidates and that want to help the working class and get you on commercials, right? And mostly social media. Like if you could just, you don't even need television. If you could just flood social media with ads about affordability, right? Now, obviously, to get millionaires to do that is slim to none because do they really care about the working people? Probably not. But all you need is like a handful of them and maybe a couple billionaires that don't give a fuck. But the problem is when you become that wealthy, you have to have been a bad person. So what are you looking for? You're probably looking for a billionaire who felt bad about what they did to become a billionaire. And maybe someone who's dying of cancer, got like 5 years left. So they just say, you know what? Let's just flood the zone and really put, you know what I'm saying? But, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. So a pastor won in Kansas Democratic primary, challenging GOP grip on Christian voters. I don't see how a pastor winning a Democrat primary challenges Christian voters because depending on what side of the aisle you're on, from the Christian side, you're going to vote Republican or Democrat. Here's the thing. With these victories, we still have to, will they be able to win the general election? And that ain't a guarantee. Unless you're already in a blue, like, especially in the Midwest. I keep forgetting this guy's name. Syed Ali. Can he win the general election? That's going to be the question. He's going to have to reach out to the black voters in Wayne County because he ain't winning the election without them, without the Detroit voters. If they stay home, if they don't turn out for Democrats, he's toast. What will Stevens do, right? Haley Stevens got more black vote than Ali. So will those two hook up? Will she endorse him? I know she said yesterday or day before that if whoever wins the election, she's backing the winner. So she is going to back him. But will all her voters back him? I don't know. But we'll see.
And in an effort to expand the Senate map, Kansas Democrats nominated a moderate pastor to take on a weakened Republican incumbent.
As for Republicans, well, they keep getting in their own way. Investigations by the House Ethics Committee now loom over two key races where Republicans should hold advantages. This morning, North Carolina Congressman Chuck Edwards abruptly ended his re-election bid. The Republicans' exit comes after an Ethics Committee report concluded that Edwards likely violated congressional sexual harassment rules. Edwards' attorneys wrote a rebuttal to that conclusion, calling the findings unfounded. And just yesterday, the Ethics Committee opened a probe into the startling domestic violence allegations against Ohio Republican Max Miller. Now, Miller strongly denies the allegations and says he's staying in the race. And House Speaker Mike Johnson, well, he is choosing to look the other way, saying he wants the process to, quote, play out. Tonight, Cornell Belcher is with us. But first, again, I think it's despicable the way that...
Let's be clear. The only reason why Mike Johnson hasn't called for Max Miller to drop out is because Trump hasn't. Take the accuse from Trump likes him. So Mike Johnson... Trump came out tonight and said, Max Miller must drop out now. Blah, 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 blah. And it's hard. Trump's really... That's what happens when... See, with the thing is, when you have someone that's compromised, you get them to do what they want. So Max Miller gonna stick around, and he's just a slave to the GOP. That's how they like it. They love when scandal about. Even though they did ask George Santos to drop out. Santos. He was Hispanic and gay. 2 strikes in the... He had 0 room for error in the jail. You are not. Like Santos was gay and Hispanic. You know, even though some of them, they did like him because they thought he was kind of funny. He was loyal to Trump to a degree. He had friends in but 2 strikes on you. Plus you getting fraud. Yeah, you gotta go, buddy. All right. And look, to be fair, they got rid of they didn't force. I don't think they forced him. I think he got voted out. Oh, did he resign? Hawthorne, the one in the wheelchair who's trying to come back. They got rid of him too, but mostly because he ran his mouth, right? He was like talking about stuff. And it was like, oh, dude, you can't be running your mouth. He was like sharing secrets about sex party. Oh, was he engaged in like sex stuff? So he had a big mouth. They was like, yeah, get him out of here. Right? We can't have people just talking. So yeah, they'll tolerate enough depending on who you are, what your connections are. Plus Hawthorne was also a newbie in a way. So
House Republicans and Republicans at large are acting as it relates to Congressman Max Miller. But the map is the map is the map is the map, and the math is the math, and the math says your people in trouble.
And it's say just like that. Because the math will keep on mathing and the maps will keep on mapping. And I think it's very important for people to understand fundamentally nothing really changed in terms of the trajectory of...
You know what's so funny about this? No, I just interrupted them. They got rid of... I don't know how I really feel about the weeknight, but they got rid of like some decent primetime people for these type of platform. They went away from like the one-on-one, like the one panel. Like, so they had Maddow, Joy Reid, Alex Wagner. Now they still have the one-on-ones. They replaced them with like, you know, pretty much all white people. But they was like, man, this network is getting there's too much going on here. They even had Tiffany Cross at one point. He's like, yeah, it's too much. They had what was the other one? Katie Fang. It's like, yeah, there's too many minorities running shows here. We gotta put all you guys on one panel. You guys got your own show, and then everyone else is gonna be white. On the weekend, we'll give you. Now they mix it up a bit on the weekends, I guess. I don't know. I don't watch the weekends, but they was like, yeah, we gotta change this. They got rid of all of them. That's crazy.
For the Democrats, and when it comes to the House, that's very, very important. And what you saw, you know, skirmishes here and there, and you know, some new lines drawn. You talked about Cori Bush in that race, so that's fine. That's all good. That's nothing to really kind of get your hair on fire about. The Senate race in Michigan is something that you know, folks get a little bit excited about. Why? Because everybody believed the polls that lied to them yet again, that this race was going to be a blowout for El Sayed. And the reality of it never was, because there was nothing on the ground that indicated that, Simone, as you followed this very closely in Michigan. Folks I talked to in Michigan last night and today was scratching their head going, they didn't know where the hell this was coming from. So that's the little piece that, you know, we were laughing before cleaning up on aisle 9. Well, it's going to be 9 through 22 for the Democrats. They had to go to the back of the store and find some new brooms. They can do it. They can do it. The Senate is still in play for Democrats.
The thing that Democrats have to do is y'all kind of get in y'all's own way sometimes, where you start.
Why are you pointing?
Y'all have your own problems, sir.
I think we have a different problem on my side.
Correct. But the thing that's so interesting is Democrats will get a candidate that gets people excited, and then they allow Republicans to dictate how the race actually happens. They allow Republicans to dictate the rules of the road. They allow Republicans to decide the lanes of the road, what you're supposed to be talking about.
Now.
And I think, you know, you have El Sayed, who is a talented orator. He's someone that is charming. We have had him on this network and others. You see him other places. He knows how to connect with people. And Democrats have to lean into that. There is space for them to lean into that. But what I have been hearing over and over again is that they're worried about how much money Republicans are going to spend. They're worried about how much outside money is going to come in. They're worried that, you know, people are going, all the racism that's already started on the Republican side in Michigan. And so what they have to do is, you know, deal with the things that need to be dealt with, but also ignore it and run the race.
Can I let me jump in here first? On the polling, there was a lot of bad public polling. There's a lot of public polling and these online supposed panel polling. Go and read my tweets from this morning and my threads from this morning where I go deeper into.
Well, summarize it for us. Right. You hear.
There's a lot of cheap polling going on where they're cutting corners and they're not actually polling an actual likely universe of voters.
They're sampling the wrong.
The sampling is horrible, and you get cheap and you get crap results. That aside, look. You're absolutely right. He or she defines the debate, wins the debate. That's politics 101. And too often Republicans are defining the debate, and they're going to try to define the debate with the money. There's been a lot of conversation about a sort of progressive takeover and wave of the Democratic Party. I think it's a more popular narrative than it is actually in reality. They've had some successes. They've had some losses. They got a narrow win yesterday. The national, and we've talked about this a lot on this show, like the national environment will put wind at your back if you're a Democrat right now. But in the end, it's candidate quality. Right. And each candidate has to close this race and tell their story to close their race. The national environment is ripe, but every candidate has to close their race.
Can I just note, you know, Trump, obviously, we played that sound of him coming in, just trying to, literally saying, no, the economy is really great. Ohio is a state that has a governor's race this cycle, that has a Senate race where Sherrod Brown is out there trying to get his seat back. And
a lot of congressional races.
A lot of congressional races that will matter. We have some sound, this is yesterday in Rickman, Ohio, from Trump voters on the economy. Take a listen.
And is this how you expected the second Trump term to go?
No, not at all. I hoped it was going to be so much better. You can't do anything with gas prices, and you just can't. You can't afford to breathe at this point.
Look how sad that is. You see that lady? 3 kids. Unbelievable. That's what Trump is doing, destroying families. Husband's probably at work. Unbelievable. This is Trump's base right here in a nutshell. Part of Trump's base. Rickman, Ohio. Trump voter. Trump is losing, and Trump doesn't care. And I said this going into 2024 election. I said, he wins, he's not going to deliver. He won't care because he won't have to. He didn't want election. It's all about him. As long as his buddies get rich. And sadly, some Trump voters, I guarantee you, if Trump was running for election this year, she would vote for Trump. Because it's a cult. It is literally a cult.
You can't afford to breathe at this point.
He's not doing what he's supposed to be doing. At least I don't feel he is. He's more doing for him than he is for the people.
Well, duh. That was the whole point of his election. Snapshot. He's doing more for him than for the people. Duh. Of course, as Jenk said.
What do you make of all these prices right now?
I don't know. I don't know. They say it's the tariffs and the war.
I don't know. They so scared to even criticize this man. They won't even do it because they're afraid that they don't want to be seen doing it. You don't know.
I don't know if it is or not.
You don't know if it is or not? Boy, no wonder he got the...
But it's sure hurting my budget.
Okay, it is the tariffs and the war. Okay, and the leadership of the country. These are like
a long list. Keep going.
It's a long list, but these are voters that voted for Donald Trump, and even there, it's like painting them to be like, look, this is terrible. If I was working on I've never worked on a Republican race, but if I was, if I decided to do my Omarosa, then
shots fired.
Is that not what it's called? She went to work for Trump.
Yeah.
I'm calling it Omarosa.
I've worked on Democratic campaigns.
Okay, if I decide to do my Michael Steele, then if I decided to do my Michael Steele and go work on a race of the other side,
moving on,
I would be very concerned hearing folks say things like that this close to an election.
Well, you know what the issue is, right? And you know this well for an off-year election. That's not a voter who's necessarily going to go vote for a Democrat.
Correct.
But that's a voter who's probably not going to vote.
Right.
I bet you.
And what's the difference,
in all three of them, none of them sound like a voter who is excited and enthusiastic about going out there and voting and supporting Donald Trump and the Republican agenda. And that, to me, is one of the biggest headwinds for Republicans going into the midterm.
Oh, those three probably won't vote. I'm probably more inclined to believe him, unless it's a candidate that Trump fully is backing. Like if Trump comes out and says, we have to vote for this person, like if he gives a full endorsement and he comes up with all these scary scenarios about, I can still see them supporting the candidate. But, I think he's right overall. I would say he's right probably 35, 20. But if Trump himself was on the ballot, oh yeah, they're fucking vote. They would vote for him, even as they're like struggling to acknowledge that he's the cause of their. It would still go to that. This is a cult, because it is.
Yeah. I want there's a lot in my head right now, just based on what was said here. So I know our audience at home has probably got some thoughts too. So I'm going to try to channel a couple of them. One, I want to go back to what you said about the Republicans sort of creating the narrative for the Democrats because the Democrats have just kind of they don't come out of the gate strong, leave a lot of lane that gets filled in. And that's largely true. But with respect to, and this is why the DS, what do you guys call it? The senatorial
campaign committee.
Yes. Campaign committee.
The Republicans have one too.
We have, but what do y'all call? Yeah.
Not a Democrat American.
Not a Democrat. It's going out to Michigan, right, to do that with that cleanup because El Sayed himself gave Republicans something to talk about. He gave his opponent stuff to talk about on Israel, comments that he's made on Israel and other subject matters that are ripe for a discussion. So he will frame that and has largely framed that. The politics will also try to frame that, and that's the interesting dynamic. The question is, how do the Democrats step into that and massage the framing? Because the Democrats don't want this to be, and this is the 2006 aspect of this national race this year, meaning all the races combined, is that you have a party in power that's not popular, right? The Democrats don't want any of that to spill off on them. They don't want to become unpopular too, because the polls, the ones that are done well, show that while there's a lot of love missing for Republicans, it's not a lot of love flowing to Democrats. Right. So talk about that sort of two-step that will have to be carefully choreographed between the National Party, El Sayed's campaign, right, to make the case in Michigan while not having it bleed over and make a mess for Democrats elsewhere in the country?
Well, let's be real clear, is that there is no pathway to a Senate majority for Democrats if we lose Michigan. Like, agreed?
I know.
Okay, table agreed.
So,
because you got to keep everything you.
The table doesn't agree, but go ahead.
Oh, why don't what?
Well, you're thinking of a different kind of election than I am.
You think they can lose Michigan and how do they? Well, Mississippi.
No, here she go.
Oh my God! And we're in Mississippi over Michigan, right?
This is a Mississippi table, sir.
Look,
So you better come to our corner.
But it's not just Mississippi. But what I want to say real quick, and we can, Kyle, we can do a show on this later. There is a real conversation about other lanes that have opened up.
Yes.
And so I'm going to put it on the table for just the point, just as I did a year ago in saying that the Senate would be in play this time. I'm going to put in the table right now that Michigan should not be the cherry, it should be the cherry on top for Democrats. It should not be the main meal, right? So we can have that discussion a little bit later. I know you're chomping at the bits of that, but go ahead and make your other point.
We're going to bring you back for another show on that.
We're coming back, yes, because that's new for me.
But yes, the National Party, they do have to get in with infrastructure and resources to let him define, but he's got to run his own race. Like I said, the national environment is put the wind at his back. He's got to define himself and run his own race, and he's an awfully talented person. I have every sort of thought that they can define themselves and run their race. To your point, define the terms of debate, not have the Republicans define the terms of debate.
You know what's interesting is that he has definitely talked about Israel and Gaza. He has talked about Netanyahu. He has talked about AIPAC. But he has this chant. And he started it last night when he came out, which is money out of, and the folks say politics, money in your
pocket,
Medicare for.
Oh.
That is the thing that he does, right?
That's what he does.
But
so that's how he starts. But
it's important.
And I want to take that, but then zoom out, right? When you think about other Democrats and the ways in which they have to figure out to make things quippy and quick, to make things that actually like matter to folks, and because that's one of the things that folks have to do is figure out what is their version of that.
That's what I think. I think he's a unique talent. And when he started that, I was thinking, fired up, ready to go. But he's a unique talent. But not all candidates on the left or right have that unique talent. They have to be authentic to themselves, right? So a middle of the road candidate. Well, you're going to be talking to the governor of Virginia soon. I mean, that's not her style. She would never be authentic to that. But she did, in fact, connect with voters on their pocketbook and their values.
Or Josh Turk in Iowa, right? He's not doing chance.
That's right. Again, I'll say this. They have a great national environment given to us by Trump. They have to close the race.
Colonel Belcher, it sounds like the chairman will be having you back to have
You'll be back.
Can the Democrats close the deal? That's the question. 3 months away. Question.
About Michigan, thank you so much for joining us. Stay with us in just a moment. Breaking details about a meeting taking place between Todd Blanche and the 2 Republican senators who hold his confirmation in their hands. Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley is at the table. And later in the hour, Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger joins the conversation.
Speaking tonight, Donald Trump's former personal attorney, Todd Blanche, he was back on Capitol Hill just now, and he was lobbying 2 Republican senators who have, so far, refused to help Trump further weaponize a Justice Department already driven by retribution. Senators Lisa Murkowski and Bill Cassidy have yet to say whether they'll vote to confirm Blanche as Attorney General. MS Now caught up with them after the meeting.
How are you any closer to making a decision of how you're going to vote on this?
I am. I'm going to be processing a lot of what we just discussed, so we'll go from there.
Was he forthcoming in the meeting? Did he answer your question?
I really would rather not make a comment, but the fact that we're there long enough, we had a good conversation, obviously.
Now, Senator Susan Collins has already said she is a no vote, so Blanche can lose the support of only one more Republican. Joining us now,
Susan Collins growing a pair before she get out of there.
Is a Democratic Senator, Jeff Merkley of Oregon. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be with you.
It's good to have you. We'll get into the politics of answering a very straightforward question about vote. I want to start with the.
I feel like Susan Collins is trying to make sure she does enough to not piss off her voter base, so she could come off as, oh look, he's resisting Trump. You gotta give her a chance. Like if you're independent, thinking to give her a do right, because at this point it's gonna probably take someone who is not gonna be afraid, stand up, and have the power to do it against others. So you thinking, who should I trust? It's like if you're independent that real deep trust follows to do some no votes, or do I trust a brand new Democrat? And who knows what that, so I feel like it's gonna come down to that. Whose cause could potentially win that seat.
Broader perspective of where we find ourselves right now because of the actions and the activities of this president and his administration, the things that they are doing, the people he is appointing. You seem to have responded with 4-Hour Republic Act, which is designed to sort of push back up against this authoritarian takeover of our country, all levels of our government, and really kind of redefines the defense of our democracy. Talk a little bit about that, because I think as a broad piece of this conversation, it's good to sort of start there and sort of as an umbrella of what you're looking at right now.
Well, I was just astounded when Trump came into office for term 2, and he didn't talk about having a mandate and passing laws with Congress to implement it. He talked about this executive order, that executive order, and everything he started doing. Not only was it operating through edicts, if you will, like a king, but he also started to appropriate the powers that belong to Congress, the power of the purse, the power of taxation, and eventually a question of war. And wow, we, for the first time, we have an authoritarian president who's trying to turn our democratic republic into a strongman state. And in looking at the literature of how this has happened around the world, places like Nicaragua, like Hungary, like Russia, like Turkey, there's 10 strategies authoritarian uses. And I said, well, are these happening here? So I went to the floor for my very long through-the-night speech a year ago to ring the alarm bells and say, this isn't just a debate about policy. This is actually a real attack on the architecture of our republic. And those strategies, they're everything from firing the inspector generals on the front end, the referees, putting loyalists who are basically incompetent in positions of power, and then proceeding to things like preparing troops to be on the streets and weaponizing the Department of Justice with an enemies list, and of course, most dangerously rigging the upcoming election. So 10 items. And so those 10 items reveal real vulnerabilities that we didn't know we had. We thought with our norms and our laws and our court system backing it up, could never happen here, why this happened in other countries, and yet it's happening. So this bill says, let's take those same 10 strategies an authoritarian is using right now, President Trump, to create a strongman state, and let's recognize we have to prepare to fix them. And let's start that conversation now. Each one of them, what can we do to address this vulnerability? Because we have got to stop any other president, any other time, from thinking that they can turn this into an authoritarian
Senator, can I ask you about that? Because as I'm talking to people across the country and whatnot, it feels as though that there are a camp of people that feel like we have to rebuild, that post-Trump, Democrats are going to have to, if they win the presidency, they're going to have to rebuild what has been broken. And then there's a camp of people across the country that feel like ain't no rebuilding, we're going to have to start anew. Normal is subjective. This feels like a rebuild, and why rebuild and not reimagine something new? Because I think that there are, myself included, like, I'm like, should Democrats be out here talking about how to restore these institutions? I think a lot of people out across the country are not concerned about the institutions, they're concerned about the progress that they've lost, the civil rights that they've lost, and they're maybe iffy if the institutions are the best place for that, like to be defended.
The old institutions.
Yeah, the old institutions.
Yeah. Well, let's think about that, like disregarding due process. We have a secret police that's knocking down doors and dragging people out of their homes, dragging them out of their cars. How are we going to stop that? Well, we're going to have much firmer laws with consequences in order to rein in that tactic. That's just an example. That's rebuilding something new and stronger and better than what we had before. And I think about each one of these like the president's strategy to rig the elections. If we don't save the integrity of the ballot box and the peaceful transfer of power, then we can kiss our republic goodbye. So, yes, these aren't just Band-Aids. This is major surgery, and I think that's the point you're making. It can't just be little fixes here and there. We got to understand, there are three big tasks ahead of us, and one of them is to stop the corruption of Donald Trump. What he's done with the office. A second one is deliver on the fundamentals for families to thrive: health care, housing, education, a good paying job. And the third is to restore the integrity of government by and for the people. And by the way, that includes things that Donald Trump didn't break. They were already broken.
Right.
Like the money
That
in politics.
might
like
take a
this
minute.
massive amount of money in politics. Yeah.
Senator, when you're talking about the fixing of things, post-Watergate, there were some norms and laws that were put in there. And if you look at the kinds of things that we're seeing at the DOJ, there might have to be some of that too. Let's play what Todd Blanche said on handling Trump's pressure if he was confirmed.
How do you advise the president on the difference between what he may want to see and the rules of evidence and the confines of law that you have to adhere to?
As the Deputy Attorney General, I was in charge of the U.S. attorneys, so it's not as if I remain blissfully unaware of what will happen if I'm confirmed. President Trump, when he talks about what he expects this department to do to make this country safe, I don't think the American people should look at that as some sort of threat to me or warning to me.
Senator, why should we, the American people, why should the world not look at when President Trump talks about what he expects this department to do, that is a threat, an edict, a mandate to the DOJ? We saw when he sent out a post about Tish James and James Comey that he wanted them indicted, and what happened very quickly and soon after. We're not stupid. The American people are very smart. They're sophisticated. They understand how these things work. And yet, Todd Blanche is trying to pretend as if we don't all know how this
We
is
saw the
shake out.
response to Janine Pirro,
exactly.
who apparently didn't do what he thought she should do.
Fold like an umbrella.
So, look at the track record here. You've got the Epstein files, where he didn't release 3 million pages. He released 3, but he didn't release the other 3. And then the ones he released, he didn't vet to protect the victims. Let's look at the fact that no one in America has been indicted regarding the Epstein's acts, whereas people overseas were fallen left and right.
Prime Minister lost his job.
And yes, that's right. And here is a man who is already in charge of the weaponizing of the Justice Department against the political enemies list. He's not coming into this office saying, I'm going to be loyal to the law. He's coming in saying, I'm loyal to the king, to the president. I'm going to do his work. And talk about the defense of the cash for cronies at $1.8 billion. That thing is still alive despite the 2 senators who weighed in to try to kill it.
Does it actually matter if Todd Blanche is the Attorney General? Does it? Because at the end of the day, Donald.
Why are you asking that?
I'm answering. No, this is the case. Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump is going to do what Donald Trump wants to do.
I don't know what's in his cup.
And the DOJ is right.
If it's not
Blanche, but this is why. If it's not Blanche, it's going to be someone else who's going to do the bidding of Donald
Well, it could have been Matt Gaetz.
And he would do the same thing. My point is, at the end of the day, the edicts are coming from Donald Trump. The person who is at the head of the DOJ is more of a figurehead. We're seeing that around all of the agencies.
Well, in a way, what you're saying is the confirmation process isn't working because an acting person can be put in place if Congress refuses to confirm someone. And this Congress is a rubber stamp. The Republicans, led by the majority leader and by the Speaker, haven't said we're defending the Constitution and have the gravitas to say, Mr. President, we may love you, you are the same party, but you stepped over the line and we are defending Congress and the Constitution.
So what do you
That's
think,
not happening.
What do you think Murkowski and Cassidy do? They just met with Mr. Blanche.
Well, so he only needs
one needs to fall.
Well, no, if
two.
Yeah, two. They all, in addition to Collins, there have to be 3 no's with McConnell absent, right? That defeats it. I believe somehow the president's going to get one of them to vote. Maybe they'll agree to do it together to make it less burdensome. But I have a hard time imagining Lisa Murkowski voting for this man. I really do.
All right. We'll see. Senator Jeff Merkley, thank you very
Always
much for
a
your
pleasure.
time. Don't
Thank
go
you.
anywhere, folks. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger joins us next exclusively to react to last night's primaries in the Commonwealth and her move to restore voting rights to 66,000 residents. That's only on the weeknight.
All right, Spanberger.
Democrats have a twofold challenge this fall: retake Congress and defend our elections against a president willing to play dirty and tear those elections up. Virginia Governor Abigail Spanberger says she's concerned Donald Trump will, quote, sow doubt in November's election results, in part because she's confident Democrats in the Commonwealth can flip at least 4 U.S. House seats, and that matters. 2 of which could come down to moderate Democrats ousting Republican incumbents, Shannon Taylor, who's taking on Congressman Rob Whitman, and Elaine Luria, who's taking on Congresswoman Jen Kiggans, to win back her old seat. Governor Spanberger is also expanding the electorate as well. On Friday, her office announced it had restored the voting rights of over 66,000 Virginians who lost them that right due to felony convictions. And joining us now is Democratic Governor Abigail Spanberger of Virginia. Welcome, Governor.
Governor Spanberger, thank you so much for joining us. It's Simone. I just want to read from Virginia Public Media, because for people that don't know, Virginia is one of 3 states that automatically strip someone's right to vote after they're convicted of a felony. The governor has sole authority to give someone these rights back, either through the restoration process once they've completed their felony sentence or via pardon. Spanberger sharply criticized the process used by her predecessor, Republican Glenn Youngkin, who faced intense scrutiny over a case-by-case review system that led to significantly fewer restorations each year he was in office. In a little over 6 months, you have restored 66,885 people their rights. Why is this so important to do? And I mean, Republicans out there, I've heard some people say, well, she's just trying to inject some people into the electorate so they can vote for Democrats this November. Is that what you're doing?
I think, keeping what is the necessary promise that we make to people, which is when someone completes their sentence for a felony conviction, when they re-enter a community, when we as a community expect them to get a job and become a contributing member of society, that we should in turn say, and your voice matters. And in our democratic system, the way that we make our voices heard is by casting a ballot. And the rights of people who have paid their debt to society, for them to choose to cast a ballot or not, and to vote for whomever they may choose, it is a basic fundamental acknowledgement that as these people have returned back into our communities, re-entered communities, that we recognize their dignity as neighbors, as fellow Virginians, and that they have not only a right to use their voice, but an obligation to be a part and a strong part of the fabric of our communities. And it's a very personal and important thing for me. I'm really proud of the work that we have done in restoring the rights of so many Virginians, and we inherited a broken process. And importantly, when I came into office, there were no records of people who had applied and not yet received an answer, who had applied and been denied, and we had to recreate a system. And just kind of for reference, when my predecessor, in his first 4 months, he restored the rights of more than 3,500 people. And by his last year in office, he had broken the system so much that, in fact, in a year's time, they restored the rights of just over 1,000. And so the work that we have done to identify people who are eligible and to ensure that they can apply, have the process, they know the process, apply, and then we went through person by person and actually went through the process of ensuring they were eligible and then restoring their rights. I think it's extraordinarily an important thing to do. And as you mentioned, Simone, Virginia is one of the worst 3 states in the nation because in our Constitution, except for when the governor grants you your rights back, you've lost that right. Now, importantly, for voters who are going to get out to the polls in November, we do have a constitutional amendment on the ballot that would allow for automatic restoration of rights for people who are eligible.
Governor, you mentioned November. WTOP reports that you believe that you can flip at least 4 House seats in Virginia, but you're concerned that Trump will sold out in the election. They write, Spanberger said the State Department of Elections will spend the next weeks ensuring that Virginians fully understand their rights and where and how to vote. When you were a freshman Congresswoman, you and I sat down and you said to me, I am happy to be described as boring and effective. And that's something that has stuck with me for a very long time. So how will the Department of Elections and you effectively protect the right to vote in Virginia in November?
Now, importantly, our Secretary of Administration, Tracy DeShazer, runs a phenomenal Department of Election and has paid deep and close attention, certainly with the primary elections that we just had in Virginia yesterday. We had a strong opportunity for us to, again, ensure that our processes work. And as challenges occur, we had some flooding in parts of the state, and we had to move some polling places last minute as a result of those sort of natural. We've been in drought circumstances, so we're pleased for the rain, but had to adjust quickly. Certainly in Virginia, we have 45 days of early voting and making sure that people understand their rights, understand how they can cast a ballot, and importantly, communicate clearly. Our systems, certainly in our country, our elections
Voting
are administered at the state
folks.
level,
Voting
and in
is
Virginia, that means that we have
voting.
volunteer poll
Support
workers from across our communities
Everybody
and
should
our
be
counties.
allowed
We
to vote.
continue to recruit folks
Every
who want
American.
to volunteer to work at the polls this election, clearly in a very nonpartisan role, working inside the polling places. Those roles are so important. But I certainly know that the president has continued to cast aspersions on voting by mail and speak negatively of our system, but our system works.
He's the president.
And we
He's
are
always
forever
negative.
and continually working to make sure that we are safeguarding our system and ensuring that people not only have the right to vote, but that they know where they can go to cast their ballot, to do so correctly, and ensure that their voice and their vote counts on Election Day.
Governor, I want to pull the lens out a little bit wider to cover a little bit more of the DMV. That's D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, for those of you who are not familiar with that term. To talk about what's happening in Maryland. Governor Wes Moore and the legislature have been going back and forth on this issue on redistricting and congressional maps. As you have as well. And voters in Maryland will have that opportunity to clear the way for a new congressional map that will favor the Democrats. Presumably the map will be drawn to allow for 8 of the state's U.S. House districts in the 2020 elections to benefit the Democrats. I always say be careful of the lines you draw because it doesn't determine how the people vote inside those lines. That'll be a lesson learned. But it's not so much about that part of the process. I'm curious about your assessment of why we're here and how the hell we move off of this. This midterm redistricting thing is damaging to the underpinnings of our democracy. Is there any thinking among the universe of governors, including some Republicans who may not have flown too far out of orbit, that are looking at this and saying, as governors, we have to begin to create a new consensus around how we avoid this in the future? You see where I'm going with that? Because that's where this is rest. The power of voting and the process of voting is laid out in the Constitution and put in your hands and in your state legislature's hands. You've got to show, or at least be somewhat concerned about where Donald Trump and Republicans at the federal level have dragged the country, and in particular, the individual states.
Well, I think the point that you made at the end of your question is highly related to the kind of first part of the question, which was how did this start? And this started, frankly, back in the 2020 election when President Trump said that he needed to find a couple thousand votes out of Georgia. And then when that plan didn't work. It was a couple congressional seats in Texas. And we saw state legislatures take action to appease the president and essentially change the maps to try, but to your point, which I think is an important one, just because of the historical voting tendencies doesn't mean that a seat is necessarily going to swing a particular way in the election. But we saw the legislature in Texas and in North Carolina change the maps, and other states have taken that step forward. Now, I think certainly importantly in Virginia, as I believe is the case in Maryland, that in order to make any redistricting efforts, there needs to be buy-in of the people. Now, ultimately, Virginia voted to make that change. Ultimately, our Supreme Court struck it down in a kind of a process argument. And so we still maintain our original maps here in Virginia. And I think that what we'll see in November will be a tremendous outpouring of voter engagement. We will see high turnout. And in Virginia, I believe that we will flip no fewer than 2 seats. But I'm aggressive and competitive, so I'm going to go with 4, and on a really good night, 5. And I say that because, in fact, in November 2025, when I was on the ballot, I won 2 of our current Republican-held seats. On a statewide election, I happened to win the lines of 2 of them. So I know those are imminently winnable. And to kind of get at the heart of your question, we need to win in November, and we're gonna do our part in Virginia, and then we need members of Congress to steady themselves and be part of trying to create some level of stability in a political system where Donald Trump, day in and day out, tries to wreak, and is successful far too often, chaos
because of you guys. What are you in Congress
everything from how we perceive our elections to our trade policies to an on-again, off-again war with Iran to the chaos that is already created and will only get worse with the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill. And we will need members of Congress to push back aggressively with clarity of voice, and importantly, ensure that into the future, we are making the case for why candidates are continuing to ask for votes, the things that they are wanting to do. And so, you're talking specifically about the redistricting piece. My focus is we have to win, and we have to win on our good ideas, on our desire to stand up for people, on our desire, yes, to push back against the chaos. But it isn't just about Donald Trump. It is about creating that future that we all want for our kids and our grandkids and our friends and our neighbors and our communities and the people that we love and the people who need us and want us to say, like, we are going to work hard, we are going to win, we are going to do right by people, we're going to pursue policies that are impactful. Because when it is just the gamesmanship of this seat versus that seat in the numbers game, people get lost, because when you're just talking numbers, now the numbers are necessary to win, but when you're only talking numbers, the average American doesn't hear you talking about them. You're not talking about the fact that they're having trouble putting food on the table or gas in their car or getting to work or worried about their kids' mental health challenges. And that's
all that is
what we have to talk about. We have to win, but the win is for what?
This is not a governor on her talking points.
That's
I'm refreshing. Governor, you have to come in the studio next time.
That's right, Governor. We want to get you back here. Governor of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, thank you so much. Really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Some breaking news, folks. When we come back, Donald Trump just floated the idea of he floated the idea of firing the Supreme Court.
Wait, firing the Supreme Court? He fired it. He can't fire the Supreme Court. Yeah, they cut it off. I wanted to see what that was. Holy shit. Let me look it up. Pull it up. Let's go over here. This dude say he gonna fire the Supreme Court. Can he do that? Let me see. Let me look it up. Trump floats idea of firing Supreme Court. That can't be a thing. He was just bullshitting. Oh, okay, here it is, right here. Trump mooses about firing Supreme Court justices he doesn't like. He has to be trolling. There's no way he has. Let's watch this. Oh my god. Let me pull this up. Yep, he actually did say that shit.
You know, the Republican judges or justices don't stick together. They don't stick together. But these three people that they have, they're like glue. They never veer. And in many ways, I respect that. I must tell you, they're horrible for our country. It's too bad they're on. A couple of them just don't belong. I'd like to fire them. I'd fire them if I could.
Somebody from the crowd yells, "Fire him," and he says, "I'd like to fire him if I could." I think it is very alarming, and people should take Donald Trump seriously. Michael Steele was saying something in the break. I was like, "Save it for TV." We're now.
No, I look, Donald Trump. I mean, yes, someone said that, but he didn't shoot it down. He leaned into it, and he's always one who will give you an inclination of what it is he actually wants to do, what he believes. So he sort of puts it out there. He floats it out there, and for your consumption. And don't be surprised come February, March, he's talking about somebody gone.
He sees how it lands, and then the reporters like me will run around the hill.
All right, so the thing is that, you know, these Trump rallies and these speeches, there's always people yelling that stuff, and he plays into it. His base loves it, right? And to me, it sounds like he's probably signaling for one of those older justices to leave, whether it be Clarence Thomas or Alito, so he can replace them. He probably wants to do that. So they're kind of like, you know, floating it out there. He obviously can't fire a justice. He even said, I would like to. And like, he kind of acknowledging, like, yeah, I would like to, but I can't. Because think about it. He's the president of the United States. If he was able to get rid of somebody, he wouldn't say, I would like to. He would just do it. Right? So, you know, yeah, he's talking this shit. But they try to make it sound like he was saying he was going to do it. I'm like, I know he's stupid, but he knows he can't do it. But now we heard it out of his own mouth what he was saying. He's not saying he's going to do it. He's just saying he would like to do it. And he says it out loud. I'm pretty sure, I would bet that if you was behind closed doors with many of the former presidents, and they probably would say, man, I wish I could just do this or that, but they don't say it out loud because they know it's not a popular thing to say, or they're the president. You know, Trump is saying it out loud. Probably something that many other presidents probably thought about or was talked about, like, can I just fire that person? Can I just throw that person in jail? Can I just kick them out? And then the counsel be like, sir, you can't do it. And he's like, oh, I'm just talking. Like, but it's behind closed doors, like no one's around. But Trump is like, I'm on stage. Yeah, I wish I could just fire them. Like, you know, like, it's just like Trump doesn't have a filter. And it's kind of, you know, it's kind of weird in a way. Like you hear that from a president. Like, it's just like, yeah.
They will ask the members of Congress or ask Mike Johnson what they think. Those members of Congress, those Republican members of Congress.
No, what they're gonna say is when the media goes around Capitol Hill, they're gonna act. That's a waste of time. Why even entertain that? You're gonna waste your question on that? Because what they're gonna say is Mike Johnson's gonna be like, well, you know, I didn't hear the full context of that, or I guess the president, you know, he just talks. He just says that, you know, someone on stage was yelling and he was kind of like, you know, like they're gonna make excuses on why what he said is he didn't really mean it, or so what's the point? This song and dance all over again. One of you Capitol Hill reporters really gonna waste time to throw that question out when you should be asking these reporters, these Congress members, about more serious shit? Like, I remember that other day, a reporter was on Capitol Hill talking to one of the members of Congress. I think it was AOC or somebody, and they asked some dumbass question. I'm like, You got a U.S. Congressperson in front of you, and that's your question. I think it was a TMZ reporter from D.C. asking the dumbest questions. It's like you have a member of Congress. You know how hard it is to get a member of Congress to stop to talk? And that's your question? That's what you got? It had nothing to do with politics. And it's like, okay, this is why people see these clips and they're like, Democrats are not fighting. They're just playing around. They're just going along with the party and waiting for the time to run out. And that's why people hate politics. Remember Kristen Welker at the dinner? She's like kumbaya in it with Stephen Miller. Kristen Welker from NBC. And it's like, they don't like you, Kristen. You saw how Trump be disrespecting her? He talks down to her like she's a dog. And then she keeps interviewing him because obviously she has to. She's NBC. But then she's like kumbaya and it with Stephen Miller, the worst human being on planet Earth. One of the 5 worst people walking the planet. And she's sitting there like, like whatever Stephen Miller said had her cheesing. And I'm like, how do you expect these people to do biased reporting when you're cozying up to the man who's one of the most hateful people walking the planet? And you as a minority journalist, like are we expecting you to be fair in your assessment and reporting or being honest when you're probably scared shitless to say anything bad or to be honest about anything because you know you won't get invited to the rubber chicken dinner in the future? Or they can make one call to your boss and you're being moved from the plush studios of Meet the Press and then you're covering stories in Algeria for the next year, right? Because that's what they'll do. They'll be like, bro, Kristen Welker was just sent on an assignment. Now she's out there and they're sending her to Gaza or some shit. Because Stephen Miller made a call to her boss. You know, like, so she's just afraid. Like, I don't want to be sent to a war zone to cover war. I'll just play nice so I can continue to, work in the studio and get invited to DC dinners and shit. I mean, these people are such cowards. They all cowards. It's crazy.
Will say he doesn't mean it, and then Donald Trump will be like, "Well, no one cares, so I guess I'll do it."
It's just crazy that he wants to fire people. Apparently,
No, they'll say he didn't mean it, but then Trump will double down and go, "Oh yeah, I meant every word of it." Like that's what he'll do. He'll make his own people look bad. They'll try to defend him, and Trump was like, "Yeah, no, I really do wish I could fire them." And then they look stupid for trying to like jump out the window to defend him. He's already done that before.
Apparently, because they did not vote on his insane thing about the tariffs, like on some of the most nefarious things. This Supreme Court has been lockstep with Donald Trump. They gave him presidential freaking immunity for crying out loud.
Well, that's an
he's a sore loser, and I think he's trying to steal this election.
On that, that's an important.
Yeah, he's trying to put pressure on them because they already been kind of good to him. I think this is not really. I think this is more about him wanting to be able to pick another one because he sees the writing on the wall. If the Democrats somehow win the Senate, he's not getting another Supreme Court. So if the Republicans maintain the Senate, there's a good chance that they could force out another justice, whether it be Thomas or Alito, and then Trump could pick another person before he's done in 2028. And that's what they want. They were talking about this last year, and even leading up to the election, I said that this was going to be on the table. I'm actually surprised that more pressure hasn't been put on. Now, I don't know, maybe in the right-wing circles, they are talking about this more. I haven't really seen any headlines about them. I know they mentioned it briefly. I saw something last year about them talking about it, but I think the pressure is going to be on, especially if after this 2028 elections. 2026 midterm, excuse me. I think the pressure is going to be on to fill that seat because there's no guarantee that the Republican nominee is going to win the White House in 28. I mean, right now it looks like the Democrat candidate, whoever that is the favorite. But a lot could change between now and the election cycle of 2028. But as soon as the midterms is over, this thing, like going into January of 2027, officially election cycle is gonna, the election 2028 election cycle is starting. It's gonna start to heat up. We're gonna start hearing names. People are gonna, you don't want to get in too fast. You don't want to get in too late. You want to time it just perfectly. So you're gonna have people who are currently serving in Congress, or people who are waiting to announce they're gonna jump in the race. It's gonna be a crowded field. I'm willing to bet that it's probably gonna be at least 30 people running, maybe 15 on each side for the 2028 nominee. It's gonna be crowded, which means that we're gonna start hearing stuff going in right after the midterms. Depending on how that plays out, we're gonna start hearing names. And if it gets too, like I said, you have to time it perfectly. And I don't think Trump endorses JD Vance at this moment, which would be kind of wild considering that he is the current VP. But I think that and then we have to see how would the GOP nominee shape out considering this new form of political alignment going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson talking about they're going to start a party, but they really like abandoning ship, but they're taking the America First label with them, right? They have walked out and took the curtains. And so how does voters in the GOP react to that? Do they split that up? And the primary is going to be, GOP primary is probably going to be more interesting to me than the Democrat primary. It's going to be a lot of drama in the GOP. Democrats going to have some drama, but I don't see it that much drama because I think the establishment Democrats is just going to make sure that they secure it. They're going to hold on to it. They're going to find some way to cheat a progressive candidate out of the nominee like they did Bernie. But the GOP is going to be the wild, wild west. Because you got to remember, even though I believe, isn't Laura Trump still the co-chair, or did she step down? I don't even remember. Let me look this up real quick. RNC co-chair, right? Let me see. No, oh yeah, okay. She's no longer the co-chair. Okay, so she stepped down in 2024. Damn, I didn't even know that. She officially stepped down in 2024 after the presidential elections. Oh, so they only had them for. So the current leadership is Joe Gutters. Who the hell is Gutters? I don't even know who that is. Who's Joe Gutters? Gutters, what a name. Gutters. Grooters? I said Gutters. I think it's Grooters. Who is Grooters? Let's see who he is. He's a Florida politician, accountant, and longtime Trump ally. Ooh, so he's a Trump ally. So yeah, took over leadership of the National Party in 2025 after Michael Watley left. So he was the RNC treasurer at first. So you know what that means. Then RNC pay all of Trump's legal fees. So this is a Trump guy. So Trump will still have his print on the Republican Party even after Trump is gone. So that means the RNC, the GOP primary is going to be crazy. So they're going to have a lot of ass kissing. They're going to kiss a lot of Trump booty to get some money and stuff like that from Trump, from anybody who's running for the nominee. So, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. It is gonna be wild. The Grooters is gonna be controlling the purse. I would bet that Trump is they probably. I thought that they raided that treasury. That's how Trump got all his legal bills paid, because the Grooters was in the treasury. He's like, yeah, we're gonna funnel this money here. We're gonna make sure the Republicans pay all your bills and shit, right? Think about it. The guy's a billionaire, but he's like, the party's got to pay my bill. Oh man, what a mobster! Trump is a mobster. Okay, he's literally a mobster. Like, how does that even? You can't get away with the stuff he's got away with? I don't think no one else ever in life. It will never be another Donald Trump. Just from like the overall aspects of like corruption, entertainment. Like, yeah, there's gonna be plenty of corruption after Trump's gone, and it'll probably be people who be more corrupt, but they wouldn't be able to get elected to office, right? They would get arrested. They would be in jail. They wouldn't be able to get away with it. This guy has the trifecta for every single thing that can go wrong, and somehow he still maintains power. Right? Out in the open too. Like, yeah, there's been some corrupt people that's had power, but from behind the scenes. You know, some bad people that hold a lot of power, but they're not out in the open. Right? Because they know that if they get exposed. It was like, Trump is just out in the open. He's literally telling you, I'm going to make billions of dollars and you can't do nothing about it. It's weird. It's wild. And no one else going to be able to duplicate that. There's going to be people who's going to try, which is also going to be funny because literally I would say we're probably going to see people get indicted like decades later because they're going to try to duplicate Trump and they're going to get arrested. Because they're going to say, dude, you can't do that. And they're going to be in jail. And they're going to be like, what? They're going to be like, what do you mean I'm going to jail? What do you mean? I ain't do it.
Important piece because it comes to a point with guys like Trump where they realize, I don't need any of this.
Right.
I don't need to get you to quit. I'll just do it.
He's giving dictator.
He's giving dictator. Yeah, but they ain't doing nothing about it. They ain't gonna stop him. I wonder after the midterms, it's gonna be interesting to see what he does. That's gonna be real interesting. That is gonna be crazy. He's already gotten rich. His buddies got rich. Will he deliver? Now could Trump do the least likely thing that Trump ever has done, and that his final 2 years he turns into this guy that just does great stuff, right? Like, he's like, he just improves the economy. People get money in their pocket. Life is starting to look good. And then people are going to remember him for the last 2 years of his presidency. But will the media cover that correctly, right? They would have to. They would have to cover it correctly. But I don't know. Like, would Trump have a heart in his last 2 years, especially if things, start to tie down? Or will he become more out of his mind and say, you know what? I'm going to go all out and just, because he's still having the base has not gotten any indictments yet. Nobody's been arrested. No one's been sent to jail for all this stuff that they said that they was going to expose, right? Fauci, Hillary, Obama. Like, this is what they're saying. I'm not saying this. Just repeating what they've said. If you go into like the dark channels of like MAGA world, or they've talked about this for like years. And like the deep state, no one's from the deep state has been arrested or charged or convicted or sent to to a military prison or whatever the heck. All that Michael Flynn stuff that they were talking about. Q and all that. You remember Q? Q, oh yeah, take down the deep state. No one's been arrested or indicted yet. But Trump's biggest gripe is like, Judge Janine, you need to arrest the person that damaged the pool. Like, think about that. Like, that is your forever movement. Not putting away pedophiles or the deep state people. Like, anytime you try to go after a powerful person, your own judges are like, there's no evidence here. You can't do anything. You have to dismiss the case. This is all about the headlines, not really about evidence. And because being on a podcast or being on media is one thing, but getting in front of a filing for like lying on an affidavit or in court is a whole nother animal. And these lawyers and these prosecutors that work for Trump are like, I'm not perjuring myself because you want to arrest somebody, your political enemies, because that shit could come back to me later. When you're long gone out of office, I might get disbarred. And they're like, shit, I'm not doing that. And obviously, this whole Todd Blanche thing, like, he's trying to become attorney general, and the corruption in that. I mean, Trump's personal lawyer. Like, think about that. This will never happen again. A personal lawyer from a criminal conviction, a criminal case would never be. First of all, anybody running for president that had a criminal case probably wouldn't even get to run anyway. They would get rejected probably by the party. Could you imagine, like, you got a criminal case, your same lawyer is going to be your attorney general when you get elected? Oh, man. How insane this is. You can't even make this up. I swear, if you was writing a story or a book, or if you was talking to someone like 50 years before, like 30 years ago, you're like, hey, man, we're going to have a president going to be convicted of felonies. Not only is he going to be convicted of felonies, his lawyer is also going to represent him, and he's going to become president. His own lawyer that represents will be the attorney general. You'd be like, huh? I have to check you into a mental hospital. There's no way that will ever happen. It's happening. And then they had we're going to put a podcaster head of the FBI. What? Oh, who's going to be head of the FBI? A podcaster. And the deputy is going to be a podcaster too. No. Yeah. Okay. Now, to be fair, the FBI hasn't been totally terrible because there are different fractions of the FBI. They have made some cases. I know, because like every state, every city, every section, department all operates differently. So they're not all kooky. They are still doing their jobs. But luckily they're still doing their jobs. They haven't like completely surrendered to like quit. And that was another thing that people worried about when people were like, "Oh, we're gonna quit." They remember all those people that was quitting early on. It was like, "Why are you quitting now? You just because all they're gonna do is fill the positions with loyalists, and all those people are just gonna be even worse." Because now, once the next administration comes in, you're gonna have all these Trump sycophants still in Washington D.C. even after 2028 because they're not gonna be fired. Because you really think the Democrat president is gonna do what Doge and them did? No, they're not gonna do it. They're literally gonna still be in government while there are gonna be a whole bunch of Trump loyalists still in the government after Trump is gone. Because Democrats don't have the balls to do what Trump and them did. When Trump got in, what they do? They fired everybody. Everybody at the top. Most people got kicked out. It's like, oh no, you're gone. And that was mostly what that whole thing about Doge was. Like they used it, they got rid of like USID and all these other stuff. But the real thing was, one, Elon gets to stop his investigations. And two, the other part was they want to make a hole so big that by the time that Trump's term ends, they get to fill those positions with loyalists. And some of those positions are lifetime appointments, which means even a Democrat president really technically won't even be able to come in and get rid of them. Now, some positions, yes, can be removed because they just did it. But Democrats won't never do that. They don't have the balls to do it. They're just not tough like that. They're weak. They don't have a spine. So they're just going to be working with, in DC, they're all the same anyway. Let's just be honest. The people in DC, they all going to serve and loyal to whoever's in office, whatever agenda is at play, right? Like, it doesn't matter who's in play, like Democrat, Republican, whoever is the head honcho, that administration gets to set the agenda. DC, everyone's going to play ball. Now, will the people outside of DC play ball? I don't know. That I don't know. It wasn't it supposed to shut down the DC FBI headquarters or some shit, and then let all the other state departments run their own local FBI or state FBI or some shit. I remember they was talking about that. Cash Patel was saying that. He's like, yeah, we just send everybody out of DC. I guess he thought twice about that because they were like, yeah, we're going to kind of need those people because we're going to need somebody that's loyal to the Trump. If we send them out of DC, the less likely of them being loyal or being afraid of DC is higher, right? It's like, okay, we don't have to serve the president. So they kept him around. Unfreaking believable. Yeah. All right, let me see if I can find something else to react to. I reacted to most of the videos like earlier today before I went live. There was one video. Ooh. College student found dead in brutal, bloody scene. Too long. This dude. He's like a woman. That girl going viral, the one for the conservative girl that shows her vagina on camera. Well, she doesn't show it technically, but she does like the OnlyFans stuff. And she's making a boatload of money off the conservative men. Because these Christian men are not real Christian men. I've already told people this. Like, remember how these guys are falling for the fake AI influencers? Someone made an AI influencer and they made millions of dollars off conservative men. So-called conservative. I don't even call them conservative men anymore. There's no such thing in today's climate. There's nothing conservative about them. Just because you say you conservative, it doesn't mean you're conservative. Just because you say you live by Christ or Jesus is king or whatever, that doesn't mean you know anything about it. It's just like, it's almost like just, it's like a It's like, oh, I want to be part of the cool kids club. So it's cool to say Christ is king, or it's cool to say Jesus is king, but you don't live by any of the word of that. And that's why these women are so be able to fool them. Like these influencers, these 25, 23-year-old so-called influencers, conservative influencers who are single, or they have children, or they don't have boyfriends, they're not married, but they're having so much sex. Like, okay, what's conservative about that? You haven't conserved your innocence, because they can't find men. They don't want to settle down with these men. They don't even like the men in the conservative movement themselves. They just know it's a quick way to make a buck. Pretty, blonde, skinny, like I just fit the mold of your typical Republican looking woman. I can make a boatload of money, sprinkle in a little bit of racism, and I could just get rich, to a degree. Like, not overtly racist like some of them do. Some of them that do the overtly racist, they're not rich. They can make a little bit of money, but they can't get rich off of it. And they usually get censored or like canceled out of normal society, where the only place they can make content is like on like Kick or, but there are some who play it perfectly, where they do enough racism, innuendo racism, but not too overtly to where they get canceled or by like half of social media so they can make money. Because the whole point is to make money. If you're trying to make money, you're not really trying to get canceled. So you stick to what you know. You stick to what draws attention to you. Like, sadly for that one girl in North Carolina, she could have really probably. And another thing too is, and I'll get to her in a second, but the ones who do it the best are usually the ones who are smart and have like some form of intelligence, and they're kind of well versed on like the issues. They could get away with kind of grifting, but the dumb ones, they have to go with like the extreme version of like that one girl from North Carolina. Attractive girl. She could have probably, if she was smart, if she had any intelligence, she could have done it the right way, probably would have made a boatload of money. But instead, she had that one moment because she tried to go viral. She went viral, and then now she's barely getting by. And she has no credibility. Because the point is, you want to have, if you're going to be an influencer and make money and kind of grift at it, you got to be able to be good enough to where you can also, and smart enough to where you can be invited to panels, where you can be whole conversations and be able to argue, even if you're using the same talking points. You got to at least keep yourself, decent enough to where you're not repulsive to the point where people can't have you on. Oh, that's the girl that said the N-word on air. I can't have her on my show. You want to be available to go on these platforms. You want to be able to get a spot on a cable network to be seen by more people. That's how the grift works. That's how it works. You get a podcast, you get, they all couldn't do it. They all couldn't do the Candace Owens route or the, Candace Owens, not even Candace Owens, like she went a little wacky too, but she did better than Tommy Lahren. I'll tell you that. She did better than her. Remember that they both kind of was around the same timeline, but Tommy kind of stayed in that niche show. She was just like your typical, blonde white girl that just had some good points and was fairly attractive, and kind of got by with that. No one never really mistaken her for like being intelligent. She just said the right shit and delivered it. I think Candace decided to mix in every single topic. She went all over the place and dived into some wacky areas and got attention, right? Some controversial statements, things that probably Tommy would have never touched. So she's like, I'm gonna stay in my lane over here. and Candace took the risk. And I mean, it's just pretty clear on like why did Daily Wire give Candace a spot and not Tommy Lahren? I know Tommy was at the Blaze, and then she was gone. But Daily Wire said, "Oh, come on down, Candace Owens," until she wasn't. And Daily Wire's a mess too, by the way. They're a mess. They screwed up. They still running with Matt Walsh in them, right? I believe Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles. They're all like Macho Man over there. Crazy stuff. They got nothing left over there too. They're doing like a lot of race baiting now. You know, black people are bad and trans people are evil. They're doing that stuff. They're really doubling down on the culture war stuff because they have nothing else to offer. So they gotta get clicks and views. That's all really the conservative commentators really have. The influence. That's all they got now. It's either something about black people, something about trans, or socialism. Right? That's the newest topic today. Now, the latest talking point: socialism. Oh my God! I can't believe Madani made groceries 30% less. Oh my God, we're being taken over by Muslims. Oh no, we gotta stop. We gotta vote. This is not good. Right? The guy, some dude in Alabama making 40 grand a year is like complaining about how it's not right. Madani socialism, communism is ruining America. Why, Jeff? Why? Because Madani has grocery stores that groceries are 30% off once a year, once a month. This is bad. Huh? What are you talking about? Mamdani? Who's that? Golly, it's the goddamn mayor of New York. Mamdani, you know, the Muslim, the terrorist. What? We don't live in New York. We live in Alabama. Yeah, but New York, if that happens there, it may happen everywhere. We got to stop them. Trump said we got to stop them. What? What are you talking about? He's the reason why eggs are $8 a carton. Who? Mamdani. Because he made it cheaper in New York, so now it's more expensive in Alabama. Our tax dollars here in Alabama is paying for that grocery store. It's our tax dollars, Sally. Ours. What? What are you talking about? Stuff like the conversation in the household. Like they're pissed off at the city mayor using the city budget or resources to make things cheaper for his constituents, but they're upset about it. It's the end of the world. He's ruining New York. The radical left, the radicals, right? It's the same playbook. It's the same playbook over and over and over and over. That's all they have. It's like, what? Like, come on, man. Like, seriously. And the voters are such, they're like, that's why I like the good liars, because they go out there and the good liars are so funny. Let's see if I can find the good liars real quick. That one lady was hilarious. She goes, I don't know. Oh, they have it uploaded in the good liars are funny, man. They are funny. They are funny. They probably gonna have something from Trump's rally happen recently. Yeah, they haven't uploaded nothing lately. Shorts. Okay, here goes some videos. Let's see. Oh no, that was a month ago. Dude, this dude got a Trump 2028 shirt on. Let me see this.
Welcome to Easy Money.
What is going on? This is from like a month ago, though. This is crazy. These people are insane. Trump 2028? Really? Let's watch this.
Welcome to Easy Money. I'm here in Washington, D.C. We're asking easy questions and giving away money for every correct answer. Let's have some fun. You ever played Easy Money?
Look at this guy. Look at it. Oh, you can't see it. How do I pull that up? This is crazy. Yeah. Oops. Technical difficulties. This fucking dude here. He's got a Trump 28 shirt on. Trump 2028. A black man. Of that, a black man with a Trump 28 is 20. I don't even see white people with Trump 2028 shirts or hats on. Unbelievable. And you got Trump shades, Trump hat. Dude, they better be paying you to wear that. That's the only way. If you're doing this on your own goodwill, something wrong with your ass.
No, I never played Easy.
You never played Easy Money? Ever?
Never.
I'm going to ask you easy questions. You give me the answers, you win some cash. Is the earth round or flat?
Flat. I don't think it's perfectly flat.
Okay. Is Elvis alive?
Yes.
What? Elvis is alive? Holy shit.
Who won the 2020 election?
President Trump did.
Oh my God.
I'm not used to the buzzer sound. The buzzer sound.
I know you. That's wrong for you.
Yeah, the buzzer.
Is it wrong for you?
Sounded. It's just, I'm not used to it.
Yup.
Yeah, it's just like it's very irritating, isn't it? Is Joe Biden alive?
No, he's not.
Buzzer sound. Is JFK Jr. alive?
Oh man.
It's easy money, man. The guy who died in the plane crash.
I know, man.
The 90s. JFK Jr. Is he alive?
Wow.
Michael Jackson alive?
He couldn't even answer the question. Wow. Oh my God. And the crazy thing about this is that if you go into like the dark rooms, like in the Q chat rooms, these things, they're talking about this stuff there. Like they believe that JFK Jr. is alive. They believe that Joe Biden is a clone. Like he was dead. Same thing with Hillary Clinton. He's a clone. She's not really alive. Like they believe this stuff for years because they've been told that by those people in those rooms. It's crazy.
Yes, he is.
Is Tupac alive?
Yes.
Is Prince alive?
Yes. Patrick Swayze.
Is JFK Jr. alive?
Patrick Swayze.
Yes. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Is Robin Williams alive?
Yes, he is.
We have to get some of them right, you know?
No. He is alive.
The game doesn't work unless I give away money. It's easy money. Welcome to Easy Money. I'm here in
Wow. Unbelievable. Oh my God, bro. There's no way. Because, you know, the thing is, like, when I see these type of videos, I sometimes my mind goes conspiracy mode. I'm like, some of these have to be staged, right? There's no way. Like, I know people who do anything for content. It's funny, you make fun of them. It's kind of like making fun of these people because some of them do believe this stuff, but that's too many. Like almost every single person was like, so you almost believe, like if you ever been around these people, you know that they believe this shit. So it's kind of hard to think that you don't have to make it up. You literally do not have to stage these things because there are people that believe it. All you have to do is show up to the events. Go to the events with a camera and a microphone, and you will see for yourself. The same people that are in the chat rooms, they're saying the crazy stuff. You could find them in real life. They exist. They definitely exist. And that's the wildest thing. That is wild. Let me see what the comments are saying. What are the comments? What are the people in the comments saying about this? I gotta see the comments. I gotta read these comments. All right, here we go. This is actually a genius way to expose propaganda. Okay. Easier to con than convince them they have been conned. They passed up free money just so they can be loyal. Oh, shit. And not a single dollar was handed out that day. Too stupid to know they don't know. Typical Trump people. Those who can make you believe absurdities can make you commit atrocities. Ooh. These people are nuts. Does that woman believe that people don't die, like, ever? The scary thing is that they walk among us. I want off this planet. I can't believe the state of America these days. On who won the 2020 election, that chuckle before the answer was so chilling. Like, he knows, but he got to say the right answer to stay in the group. People don't know how selfish and dangerous that is. That's a good point because that's the thing. Like, you don't want to be seen on camera stating something that is against the cult, especially if you're a minority. Like, that's why that black guy was stuttering. He was like, damn, I want the money, but I also I want to remain in the club. Like, if you notice, like, he was hesitating while all the other white people were like, no. They was like, their answers were pretty direct. Because, they're already so deep in, like, they're not worried about, trying to pretend. That guy might be in it for the money. That's why he was hesitating. So he was like, they pay me to come out here to put these shirts on, but if I want to get paid again and be used next time, I better not be caught on camera saying something that goes against, the agenda or the propaganda. Think about it, he's already weird anyway for just wearing those 2028 stuff. Now Robin Williams being alive is a MAGA conspiracy. When the F did that become a thing? Probably came from Roseanne Barr, I would bet. I don't know where it came from. That was the first time I'm hearing about it, so I don't know. I like how the lady threw in Patrick Swayze to the being alive question and then qualified her flat, round Earth answer by saying the Earth's not perfectly flat. Oh my God. Oh my God. The way they think people are immoral needs to be explained. Oh my God. Yeah, it's really a cult, man. He said, I made $500 pretending to represent a legal fund for MAGA. Idiots just give me money. The definition of MAGA, everything is a lie. Logic and life experience say blue, so it must be red. Wow. Holy shit. I mean, everybody's clowning these people. Everybody. I was wondering if I could see a comment of somebody in here defending this. The American education system at large. Why do they think these people are alive? Good question. It's probably got something to do with the shit that they talk about in those chat rooms. Yeah, these guys are fun. Oh, God. That is so funny. Oh, my God. Oh my. Hey, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Huh? I hacked. Andrew Wilson on Joe Rogan. Oh, Andrew Wilson. He went to Rogan. How the hell did he get on Rogan? Joe Rogan just attacked me. Uh-oh. Joe Rogan went after Brian Shapiro. Watch that tomorrow. I wonder what Rogan said. Rogan usually doesn't attack podcasters like that. He must have said something about Rogan first. Let's see. These AI thumbnails is crazy. Establishment Dems and liberal media already concerned trolling. Will be that tomorrow. Looks like Trump could deport Haitians now. Guess the court ruled and got rid of that. Haitians will be getting deported. Looks. Laws white lady breaks down on how he died. Everybody's a guy. You know the Nolan Wells case. Everybody's a goddamn detective, right? It's just crazy. Everybody's a detective.
For like 2 seconds on the Nolan Wells case because I saw where Nancy.
Agent Navy changed the story. Another woman tells the hard truth. Damn, I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow for that. I really don't want to cover that. Let's see if I get on the True Crime Family channel. Yeah, they making $2,500 a month. They only upload 3 uploads per. They got 11,000 subs. Making bank. God. They making bank over there. All right, let's get the hell out of it. We're done. Tupac trial. What Keith? Who knows? Yes. I can suppose to turn on Trump. Yeah, we've seen that already. All right, we're done here. We are done. We are done. Oh, Keith Olbermann is back. When did he come back? Is this his first podcast back? Holy shit, Keith is back. He's been gone so long, his monthly earnings have dropped to $85 on YouTube, according to the metric. Damn, he got 247,000 subs. Wow. But Keith is back. Holy shit, just in time. He's back. I like Keith Olbermann. He hasn't put a podcast. He hasn't done a podcast in 3 months. 2 months. His last one was back in 3 months technically. It'll be 3 months in like 5 days, but he just did one. So Trump becomes the first U.S. president to lose a war. All right. Well, I'm leaving though. I'm not sticking around. Now that Keith is back, we can start doing watching some of his again. All right, we're out of here. See you later, guys. Don't forget to eat, sleep,